Well, this isn't how I wanted to make this video, but since technical difficulties have forced me to make it like this, here's a simpler review on Starfield from a No Man's Sky player's perspective. So let's get started, shall we? First, I will say the stories from the main campaign, the faction missions to the loyalty missions, very in fun, but not much fun, if that makes sense. For me, the funnest part is joining SysDev to infiltrate some pirates, betray them after getting told, hey, you're getting arrested for doing pirate shit, then completely decimate the SysDev in an epic space battle and going into their ship and destroying them that way as well. I thought that was pretty cool. One of the coolest parts for me was going ahead and fighting with NPCs in epic battles. That's what I like to do in most games, really. But let's get to the main story. The main story is kind of boring. It's pretty boring. The concept of it is really cool on paper, but nothing that really comes from it, like besides the powers that are okay at best. Nothing that really comes from it is really amazing and something you will take away and remember for the rest of your gamer life. Like none of that, right? In No Man's Sky, the missions, the stories can be seen as boring, but they are just a means to end to help you learn more about the game and explore more and get more in tuned in the game essentially and see what you can do in the world. So I think that's fine in that regard. But when it comes to Starfield, there's nothing like that in the game, where everything you do, all your decisions in almost every mission, faction mission, it doesn't really matter because you can't see your impact on the universe in real time, which is honestly a shame. Starfield's faction missions or loyalty missions are okay, but nothing really memorable. Probably the most memorable would probably be the Terramorphs, because who doesn't want to go ahead and fight Xenomorph looking bastards in a cool ass mission? I know they could have made it way better, but like that end boss Xenomorph was pretty cool to see, and I honestly don't want to fight that shit again. Now let's talk about the companions a little bit. And they don't really have much of a function besides just surface level basic ones, and it's just really disappointing. I can get the same amount of interaction from a robot companion compared to a living people companions, which is it's outrageous to me, because I'm just looking at this like they don't really, sure, they help with carrying your shit and fighting back, but it doesn't really scream like next gen to me when it comes to these companions, when it comes to this game. And it's just upsetting to me and disappointing, and they're just a means to end. They're just convenience. Nothing really, they don't really add to the story or to the game at all, besides that they're one-liners and talking to them after like certain decisions, and I just don't really care about it, about the whole companion aspect of this game, because they just don't really matter. You can just do the entire game by yourself if you wanted to, and there'll be no repercussions or nothing. It's just unfortunate. In No Man's Sky, I can send frigates off onto missions, I can have NPCs run my capital ship, have a squadron on deck to assist me in space battles, and many NPCs have a variety of purposes for me to explore and engage in the universe. My issue with NPCs, especially companions, as they try to come off as unique, but they really aren't much different than every Bethesda game NPC that follows you around, and it's just annoying that they try to make this game come off as like next gen Bethesda and all this and that, when in reality it's essentially just the same with a new coat of paint, and it's just it's laughable in my opinion. It's really laughable. My biggest problem with the game is nothing you do really matters. None of your decisions leave an impact, and you can't see the consequences of those decisions in real time shaping your universe, which fucking sucks. Nothing you do matters, as I'm pretty sure most of you have played a game, or you guys know, you can join any faction, you can join most of the factions, and there will be no repercussions. NPCs don't die unless scripted. Some can't even be damaged. They just sit there looking at you while you shoot through them. Like, really guy? And any faction you join really have no power. Like, you really don't have no power within them, even after you finish their their full quest. And that's just that's just annoying as hell to me. Like, oh yeah, I went ahead and personally went ahead and got the Crixus legacy. Do I have any power in the whole organization? No. Oh, then why am I even here? Just to do basic missions for a couple grand a pop? Like, it's just not really my tea, right? It's not really something that I like as a person, and as a player. I like to have like more control, especially when I put in so much work and NPCs are just standing around and just waiting for me to finish the objective, and I run up to them and say, "Hey, I got this. All right, cool. Now go do this." And I'm just looking at them like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Now let's calm down a little bit and let's get to the weapons. The weapons are pretty neat though. The mods can make weapons look really cool. If you remember how Fallout 4 mods work, then it's essentially the same but without the recycle mechanic. And the recycle mechanic was one of the best things, and we don't have it here, and you can pick up so much shit. It's we need the mechanic back is what I'm saying. Armor modding is also really cool, although there's no transmog system, so you can't have any drip without sacrificing some stats, unfortunately. The perks are really how you engage the world, and they are separated into two abilities, passive and active. None of the perks really add to the combat besides stat increases, which is honestly pretty lame to me. Gameplay wise, it's alright. It's way better combat than No Man's Skies. But the perks like boxing, you'd expect combat animations, right? No, no, you don't. There's no combat animations at all in this game, which is a step down in my opinion for a game of this caliber, for a Bethesda game, right? No combat animations means that the gameplay is a little bit boring in my opinion. There may be no combat animations, but the one thing I did love about the game was how there was sort of a system like quick hacks, like in Cyberpunk, to manipulate enemies in various ways in real time in combat, which is cool as hell. One thing I didn't like though was how you need certain points in a tree to get to the next tier when we already gotta do challenges for each perk to get to the next level of that perk to upgrade it. It feels unnecessary to block other perks, especially if you want to create a certain build and you need certain points in that tree. It's just kind of unnecessary in my opinion. Let's talk a bit about ship battles. Ship battles can be pretty dull. Only fun I had really when it comes to ship battles was when I had NPCs working with me in large scale ship battles. But by myself, it feels sort of out of the way and lame compared to No Man's Sky. Shipbuilding is cool as hell, but only really worth it if you really got the money, or you really know what you're looking for perk-wise to make it easier on you to build your ideal ship. I will say you can't even have or build a space station, which kind of sucks, in my opinion, besides that one guy apparently who somehow the game glitched and he was able to buy the key. That is cool, but it's a glitch. So now that we talked about ships, let's talk about travel and exploration. It's boring. It's a hassle and not very immersive. None of this game is very immersive. You teleport everywhere and are given loading screens constantly. In No Man's Sky, jumping from one planet to another or to another system has cool cutscenes or actual travel animations as you get to your destination. Even traversing on the ground is a hassle as you don't have any access to vehicles, which make base building a bit annoying when you lug around a ton of shit, especially in the beginning. I will say there is the grav animation stuff, but it still puts you in a loading screen to get to the next area. It's only sometimes, but most of the time you just sent to a loading screen, right? So let's get back to the base building. Base building is my shit. Compared to No Man's Sky, it literally has damn near no purpose. Damn near. In No Man's Sky, all types of raw materials has a mean to an end, and will be consumed in some way almost infinitely as you play the game. In Starfield, for fuck's sake, you can't make ammo, weapons, armor, and none of your resources are needed to fuel anything besides your wallet if you decide to sell them. The only thing that is probably like unilateral is probably helium, and you can just have a system to have that go around everywhere. It's damn near infinite, right? So there's also no recycle system to make things easier on you when you're trying to gather materials either. Everything is solved with money, and as soon as you research everything, mod all your weapons the way you like, mod all your armor how you like, there's really nothing for your resources to really go to, which is just really lame because at some point, base building, its purpose is finite. No Man's Sky has plenty of resources being used constantly, so you need a constant supply of said resources. Here in Starfield, you really don't need to gather anything to complete the game. all you honestly need to do, just buy everything if you have the money. You can just steamroll through the game and nothing would really come of it. Building's a hassle in the beginning, but it's doable. Don't know what you're doing, then it's just gonna take a minute for you to learn, right? Like anything, but here it is especially a hassle. Is it bad? No. Do these outposts serve a higher purpose, like supplying factions you allied with or being part of your own faction? No, not really, not at all. It's none of that. It's just an outpost. It's literally just some baseline cookie cutter bullshit for you to do on your off time, and it's not really cool looking. You have a lot of like pre-made stuff that you just put together. It's just not really worth your time if you're a real base builder like in No Man's Sky. Lastly, in the universe of Starfield, nothing we really do matters. Like I said before, nothing we do we visibly see impact the universe we are playing in. Everything is pretty much the same no matter what your choices are. When Unity told me at the very end what my choices would mean for the universe, it really annoyed me, since it made me realize how much our decisions didn't really mean shit in the end, because I couldn't see what my decisions impacted in said universe. This ruins replayability since nothing we do matters. That replay factor in our minds to see what we can do differently in the next universe, if we do things differently, isn't activated. We won't try to see what we can do differently in the next universe because we know nothing we do shapes it in any different way from our first run, which honestly is the biggest crime here. Overall, I feel like this game is a certified 5 out of 10. It isn't a bad game, it's just boring. It isn't a fun game per se. It is a game that has the capacity for fun, if that makes sense. And when the mods come in to save the day again, and it will be so fleshed out that it will be a completely different game, it's a shame because we need to rely on modders and other people besides the actual people that created the game to make the game more fun. And that itself is just a travesty. I had hoped this game was similar to No Man's Sky by having its building and factions aspect in a tighter, more complex loop that helps elevate the story aspects of the game and of the gameplay, but maybe I gave myself too high of expectations with this. I think that's my issue here, is that none of the stuff in the game really elevates each other's aspect, if that makes sense, all the while being too boring between every fun part, the few there are anyway. Well, that's it. Wish I could discuss it more, but my hour-long video in the grave says otherwise, so I can't. So thank you all so much for watching the video. If you guys have any questions or want to know more about my thoughts and experience while playing the game, where I couldn't expand it on the video here, just let me know. So yeah, see you guys next time. Stay healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically. Peace out, everyone. Thank you so much.